Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Heroes CCL, presented by Wisdom. My name's Bahamut, joined by Grubby and Justing, and we're through our first matchup of the day, and we're getting ready for our second best of 5. We're going to be seeing Oxygen Esports go up against Simplicity, and it has been a really fun day here on Heroes CCL, and we're going to continue that action in just a moment. What'd you guys get up to on the break? How were your breaks, Grubby?
I had poffertjes, which is the Dutch little mini pancakes. With powdered sugar and lots of butter.
That's okay. That was like, what's the addition? What's the accoutrement with it? That sounds delicious. Any syrup with that, or it's not a thing you eat with syrup?
No. Powdered sugar and butter is the meta in the Netherlands for this particular dish, and I had one strawberry.
I mean, I'm coming to the Netherlands. That sounds delicious. Justin, what'd you get up to, bud?
Well, I got some springy cuddles and got some springy belly rubs. Yep. Took a little rest, and she came and laid down and demanded pets.
Oh, I thought she belly rubbed you.
No. I see why you would think that, but no.
Poor jesting. Unfortunately, Springy's just the only one getting love in this exchange. But I ate my banana. I got my potassium. And I rested my eyes by staring out the window. It looks like we're actually about to get a storm up here, which I'm kind of excited about. But let's go ahead and take a look at, well, that it's up to you to get the best picks for the winning team live as you're watching on cclmarkets.com. It's free. If you pick wrong, you can sell your shares and buy the other team before the match is over. CCL markets trade from 0 to 100, where shares of the winning team valuing at 100 and shares of the losing team expiring at 0. There's tons of prizes this season, so join and play during every Heroes CCL broadcasts. So we're here, we're ready to go into our next best of 5 of the day, and Grubby, I'm gonna toss it on over to you to break down this Oxygen roster.
I'm gonna catch it, and the roster is as follows. Bad Benny, one of the best tanks in the leagues. My favorite in terms of playstyle at least. Hazuwubs, one of the best Hanzos. The best Lunara, a fantastic player, great flex. Copenhagen thinks that most drafts are solid for a Blaze pick. Nick, kind of the wild card here. Very talented, has a lot of special picks, sometimes good, sometimes not. Yasu, fantastic Lucio, and a great healer in general. We saw a lot of his Malfurion recently, and we should also mention Sergeant Hammer. Both Nick and Hazuwubs have a big fandom for that Sergeant Hammer. This team is pretty cool.
Yeah, Hazuwubs playing a lot of Sergeant Hammer last week, and I do want to note really quickly before we jump over to Simplicity, the generosity from our community. We've broken $12,500, so thank you all so much for donating towards the prize pool. We very much do appreciate, and maybe we can hit $13,000 by the end of the weekend. But of course, Justing, let's take a look over at Simplicity.
Simplicity with a very revamped roster as of last week. We've got Lupus, the new tank player for the team. He's been around the amateur competitive scene for a while, playing on the Wild Heart Omega for a bit. We have Slips, who is showing off his Hanzo last week, looking very, very strong on that. Porky, the rock of the roster, he's been around since the beginning days, role swapping within the team as well. He'll be likely playing the offlane position. Tiger JK, the newer member to the roster, playing things like Maiev, just a strong flex player, playing things like Genji. Wishing, the support, the lone standing player from the old Foundation, and Casper is the 6th member for the new Simplicity roster.
Well, there's your Simplicity roster as we're getting ready for map number 1 in the series. As we had mentioned, every single map, every single series is really going to boil down to who kind of ends up where within our league standings, and we'll definitely take a look at those after this series. But let's go ahead and find out where we're going to for map number 1 in our second best of 5. It is going to be Oxygen Esports taking us to Tomb of the Spider Queen. But if you're wondering how we got to Tomb, Simplicity won the coin flip, opting for first pick priority, banning out Garden Terror, and it will be Oxygen Esports banning out Curse Hollow. Grubby, when we take a look at map record for the Tomb of the Spider Queen, Oxygen sits 3-2. The members of Simplicity 1-0.
Okay, not a lot of experience there, Simplicity, but then that kind of is what happens when you win a lot of your games 3-0 and 3-1. And so you don't have as much data to go through. Oxygen ultimately is going to be choosing to take them here. And this is Sergeant Hammer map. That's our question number 1. That's usually what we ask when we watch Oxygen. And they almost always answer yes.
I think it's definitely a map for Sergeant Hammer. This also lends, I think this is also a map, Justin, that lends really well to Nick. Nick's kind of unique picks that he often goes into, Kerrigan, Imperious, I think those are all plays that we could see on this map. I wonder if Nick maybe dips into the bag of secrets to maybe pull something out to lock down this 3-0 up against Simplicity, because the 3-0 for Oxygen would be huge.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything too crazy that we haven't seen yet in the first game of the series for Oxygen. If the first game doesn't maybe go so hot, then I could expect to see something new from Oxygen, but it's in their best interest to win this series as cleanly as possible while giving away the least information that they can, because they are in a position where they are the 4-2 team up against the 1-5 team. They should be feeling confident here, and they should be looking, at least in the first game, to not give away anything more than they need to for the rest of the teams that are going to be watching this series, to be able to counter them later on in the playoffs and in the finals if they make it there.
We'll see if they can make it there. Immediately a target ban onto Sergeant Hammer from the side of Simplicity, Lucio as well, Maev, which is going to be something that Tiger JK was dominating, utilizing that to dominate up against Granite Gaming in week number 5. But a first pick Joanna here, Grubby, is nice for the side of Simplicity.
I just realized I thought Simplicity were 6-0. That's the old Simplicity roster.
Yeah.
They're 30k now. Because I was like saying Oxygen needs a win here, right? To secure top 3 against a 6-0 team. I said that before the break. Doesn't make sense anymore. Small brain fart.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, that makes Oxygen actually the favorite here, despite Simplicity having a new and improved roster. Now, this is something Oxygen does a lot. They like to take Lunara, which is a secondary cleanse. We're living in a blow up the tank meta, and a secondary cleanse can be really helpful. Nick is on it, but it's most likely Hazu. But this opens up the way for non-cleanse using supports, like Stukov, or you can still go for it and just have more cleanses. Not too bad, right? And the reason it's actually extra good into Johanna pretty much has a kill timer of once every minute with Blessed Shield. Outside of that, typically cannot. Not like Diablo. Diablo can do it on 12 seconds every Shadow Charge. And that's why I heard from the pros that Johanna is generally countered with cleanse. Every 1 minute, he tries to kill someone with Blessed Shield. So Lunara has a counter into her.
We have that ban, onto Brightwing, as we are in our second ban phase. Both teams needing some supports or healers, so we could see a choke onto that. But it's actually Tyrael, Bad Benny utilizing that last weekend pretty effectively. Actually, wait, was that the Tyrael game that was like Judgment, or am I thinking of a different game, Justin?
There was a Bad Benny Judgment Tyrael game on Tomb.
Okay. And they lost that. That was actually, they lost that one. It was up against Diamond Hands. That was because that was the draft of Hammer, Blaze, Tyrael, Malfurion, Tracer from Oxygen. And they lost that against a Joanna, Chromie, Anduin, Sylvanas, and Dahaka.
And they won with Tyrael and Dragonshire, Tyrael, Hammer, and Karazim, with Murden Blaze in the front.
Well, we get into these last two picks, Justin. There's a lot to unpack from this draft, so let's get your breakdown as we get the two last picks from Simplicity, a Thrall and a Rhaegar.
So Simplicity kind of sticking to what we've seen from them so far in the past that has worked for them. We have the Hanzo for Slips, which put on a great show with that last week. We also have Tiger JK playing the Thrall again. Tiger JK playing a melee flex. The Maya's been banned away. We don't see the Genji picked up. We see the Thrall. It's good into Muradin. It's good into Blaze. The percent damage on the front line. Jaina is now the weird pick for Oxygen. I'm a bit of a Jaina enthusiast as of late. I think that she kind of does a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And her only real downside is that she is slightly susceptible to dive, but you do have Ice Block once you complete your quest. So it's not like she's completely vulnerable, and this is a small map, so there's never going to be a situation where she's like on Cursed Hollow, for example, where, you know, if you fight in the middle of the map, it's a long way home. Tomb, you're never in a position where you're that far away from home, so I like the Jaina here. It's good at killing tanks, it's good against Johanna in particular. It's one of the old school counters to Johanna. Even back when she had the physical armor, it was kind of found to be just a good counter in general. So you have Jaina for a lot of burst damage, comboed with Muradin. I like that a lot for Oxygen. They don't have the best ball delivery system. They have, or light bomb delivery system. They have Muradin to be able to jump in at level 16 with the range. That's about all they really have to deliver it. So nothing crazy for the Anduin. We might even see the Sanctification type ultimate from him and just look to kind of counter engage the side of Simplicity. Simplicity does have the solo range, so they're not going to be able to trade quite as well as Oxygen. Oxygen is playing basically purely for a front to back fight, whereas Simplicity has to get some kind of flanks with Thrall. if they want to win the fight. It's very difficult to play both Thrall and Johanna into the slows of Blaze and Jaina and Muradin.
Well, let's go ahead and see what happens here. Thank you, Justin, as always, as we've got Oxygen in the blue, Bad Benny on the Muradin, Yasu on the Anduin, Hazuwubs to play the Lunara, Nick on the Jaina, and Copen on the Blaze. Looking at the side of Simplicity, Lupus on the Johanna, Porky on the Arel, Slips to be back on his Hanzo, Wishing on the Rhaegar, and Thrall to be played by Tiger JK. Bit of a split on this one for me. I mean, Slips looked amazing last weekend on his Hanzo. We do have Tiger JK on this Thrall, which is an Echo of the Elements at level 1. We will be also seeing the Feral Heart for this Rhaegar, but I really do feel like Oxygen, they've got a lot of insanely strong tools and burst abilities, so I think Oxygen, they'll pull ahead on this one. They'll have the better wave clear. I think they'll have the better team fight. What do you think here, Grubby?
I'm bemused, and I'm enjoying that Jaina pick because she's going to get that big Cone of Cold at 7 and get lots of resets on the heavy melee team of Simplicity. That should be pretty cool. But I'm also thinking of Simplicity. They are 1-5 in matches, but they are 3-0 with this roster. They're going to be looking much stronger than they have, most likely. Must be at the forefront of Oxygen's mind. Very interesting.
Yeah, that's a very good point to bring up with last weekend's matchup up against Storm Esports being that 3-0 with Simplicity winning it out. So that is a big note to make, yes.
Slips looked fantastic on Hanzo, as Justin and you mentioned earlier on. So that's pretty exciting. For the rest, let's see. There is one unique talent that we don't see that much anymore. It used to be the meta. Anduin has gone for the power word shield. And recently it had been the flash heal resets with bigger heals. This one is a little bit safer for yourself, as you always donate a small shield to yourself. Wonder if he's going to go for the full W build all the way to level 13, if not the 16, because 16 is generally the cleanse. Then you get CDR resets on W, you get 2 auto attacks fired at the apex, bonus auto attack range, and shields on yourself and allies if you hit an enemy as well. Wonder if he'll go for the full W or if it's going to be some form of chastise talent at level 4. We shall see. For the moment, very quick siege camp here, coming out already from Oxygen.
I want to note the level 1 also for Nick did go into the Lingering Chill, so no Fingers of Frost for the Jaina, which I feel like is kind of critical for a Jaina. You get those 20 regeneration globes. Not only do you have better mana sustain, but you also have a 10% damage increase on the frosted target. So we'll see. I don't know.
I have a gut feeling. He's getting the intellect for mana, right? That's all you ever need.
That's true. That's true.
You give up the cleaving frostbolt at level 4, basically, but now you have a 6-second slow. So the reason Lingering Chill is quite cool into Johanna, no pun intended, is that you are forcing basically her to use Iron Skin to remove a very low value investment. Okay. Because you don't want to be slowed for 6 seconds as Johanna. You're a fish out of the water on the docks. If you are a slow Johanna, your Condemn will not connect, your Punish will not connect, you will be gapped, you will be hit, and then you have to move back. So, using on the myriad of slows, using an Iron Skin on that, and then suddenly that makes everyone know this is when Johanna is trying to be active. This is when Johanna is trying to be valuable. He's gonna move through the chill from Jaina and then try to get a Blessed Shield and whatever. And if that doesn't work, she's out of action for 20 seconds. That's why Jaina's quite nice into Johanna and why that talent is strong, because as a tank, you do nothing when you're slowed for 6 seconds.
Oh, that's actually a really good breakdown. I was just thinking that this was some sort of just flavor that Nick was feeling, but there is some really good play behind it. Muradin lands a Stormbolt, and Nick tries to get the last little bit of damage. There's a slow, but Bad Benny recognizes the enemy team could be rotating down and does not press any sort of pressure into Porky, who did drop low, but the pressure now moves into mid lane onto Slips, who is dropping to about 50%. Lunara unable to get the burst value that she was looking for, and turn-in availability exists for both teams. Only 2 gems will need to be turned in for Oxygen, whereas on the opposing side, quite a few for Simplicity, about 36 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's quite right. And we see Thrall deviating from the standard build. He's going for the Chain Lightning build.
Yeah, the Echo of the Elements at level 1.
Yeah, that has synergy with 16 Chain Lightning. That's going to be poke. Anduin is not the best sustain healer. Lucio, Brightwing, and Stukov are probably better, and Rhaegar for that matter. But I still don't think Anduin is going to be particularly worried about a bunch of Chain Lightnings coming in. This removes an obvious synergy with the level 1 percentage damage, also stacking with the 16 percentage damage, so it's gonna be a little bit less bursty. But okay, interesting to see Exodia Thrall coming out with a lot of quests.
Just don't run into Weevil. Oh, good insta mount. Nick unable to get the last bit of damage. That was the Divine Steed coming in critically for the Yrel. Porky able to get away once again with just a sliver of HP. Shield Glare, Stormbolt, Bad Benny, and Lupus trading a bit here, but Bad Benny is going to get the Leap of Faith out. And we actually saw right there, that was the Purification utilized onto Bad Benny as well. It's like, how did he have the healing reduction on him as well?
Did your eyes go to Johanna first as well, just like me? Or did you immediately
I started looking at Johanna talents and I was like, wait a minute, the level 7 is like a 30 or 35% healing reduction. So that's why I was like, wait a minute. But mid lane objective, or excuse me, objective phase ends. Bottom lane fort is down. I guess you could say about a half a level lead for Oxygen Esports, starting to create a bit of a gap. Bad Benny with this anchoring forward, just getting the dismount, allowing Hazuwubs to safely clear in wave or in lane. Really liking how Bad Benny plays this. We'll see if he looks for his New Zealand type flanks.
Yeah, love those. Been trying some of those, and it can be a double-edged sword, but it's a lot of fun to play like that. Now, when you compare the first Web Weaver phase to the Wild Heart Storm game, both first Web Weavers from each of the teams did practically nothing. 0 or 3 towers. That's what they got. Here we have a fort, a wall, a second wall. This was a great result here for Oxygen.
Oxygen Siege is looking good, and they have the 10 talent here as well. We have that Water Elemental for the Janus. That's going to be good sustained damage. Wintermute at level 20 could be here. That's another dive onto Porky. He's got 39 gems. No Ardent Defender for like a sliver of a level. And Porky just trying to gap that distance. Will he be able to pick up the Ardent Defender? Yes, he does. He gets the snap pick onto it. Light Bomb, though, from the Anduin will go out. That's Porky getting very low. And Ardent Defender finds 0 to minimal value. And 40 gems sit on the ground. Yasu and crew zone that away. And it's a second kill onto Wishing. A double kill for the side of Oxygen, as they are 5 gems away from a turn-in, and they're actually going to pick up a few more through bottom right now.
Did you just leave to go to the restroom and go number 1? Because I heard something flushing.
Me?
Oh no, never mind. It was just the gems that Porky just lost. 40 gems lost.
I had a panic there for a second. I was just like, I'm the only one in my house. If you're hearing a toilet flush, I need to be worried.
I think flushing burglary is not the scariest, to be honest. But anyway, wow, that was... And why was Porky jumping to the left? Oh, I get it. He was looking to dodge Light Bomb, and he did successfully. He's just been getting bullied. Somehow, someway, Oxygen has had the freedom to continually send Jaina, an immobile mage, to bully the solo laner together with Blaze. How has this been possible? What has Simplicity been able to do in the other lanes in the meantime? Because it wasn't even the case that they were defending Web Weavers anymore. No, it's just better rotations by Oxygen. Poor Porky, constantly 2v1, and he got taken down after his fort was already gone. That's a lot of gems lost. Oxygen with the second Web Weaver. They're looking to take a massive lead here. Nick once again punishing the heavy frontline comp. Trying to get those slows. Yasu with the self-light bomb.
Porky was out too far in bottom lane, in my opinion. With no fort, with the enemy in mid, Porky that far out in the lane, that gets punished, and obviously Oxygen is punishing it. Oxygen's doing what I want to say, which is that's not allowed, and quite literally, that's not allowed for from Oxygen. So that will be another kill onto Porky. Is that all 3 of the kills? That can't be right. Porky died twice, Rhaegar once, excuse me, okay.
Yeah, well, Rhaegar died. Actually, yeah, it's all Porky, because Rhaegar tried to save Porky.
That is true, that is, yeah. So Porky has technically died 3 times, Wishing hasn't died once, but we go ahead and take stock of the top lane area. We've got the members of Oxygen on boss. It has been non-stop. It has been a consistent pressure, a consistent flow of pressure from the side of Oxygen, and I think that's the big thing that I'm noticing right now from this team at the start here. A Bless Shield and an attempt kill onto Blaze in mid, as we do have the bunker down. Bad Benny's here, and that is pretty much the end of this, as Bad Benny gets the Dwarf Toss away, and Nick finishes out this boss in the top lane. Half of a turn-in sits in the pockets of Oxygen, roughly, and the members of Simplicity look for their first turn-in.
Nick is one of the best players that nonetheless follows Storm League talents. He's got that ice barrier at 13. Everyone that's either good or wants to pretend they're good always says you should take icy veins. You get higher performance on your spells, you do more damage and so on. Nick's always really rational about his talents. He doesn't go for the highest hanging fruits and says, look how tall I am, look how far I can climb. Nick chooses things that he thinks are statistically likely to produce good results with a full awareness and acceptance of his own mortality and fallibility as a human. So he goes with the ice barrier and he goes for the behemoth armor on Raynor, and he's like, yeah, even if I don't get a lot of stacks, I still think this is good because you get more consistent globe value. You get, with that little bit of extra health, more fountain value. Not even looking to crazy stack it, just generally thinks it's better. And ice barrier. Most people cancel icy veins. Now he's going to be able to play a little bit more aggressively on that Jaina.
Thrall's holding is level 13. I'm wondering why. And we'll see here in a second. Blaze is pushing up the wave, and I mentioned this earlier, but here's another great example of the constant pressure applied. Boss ended, but during that boss siege that got the keep front gate, there was a mid lane push from the side of Oxygen, and then you have the siege giants as well, and this is creating a massive gap in experience as well as the passive experience gain, as we do have an attempt fight right here, 13 to 16 in levels. Avatar used, there's a light bomb, there's an arrow from Slips to try and push back Bad Benny, but it's Rhaegar to go down to Hazuwubs just on the bottom of our screen. Lupus, leaping strike, Thrall tries to save, and that's 30-some gems going down the toilet. More flushing noises to be heard on HeroesCCL.
I heard it. There was a lot in that one. As Oxygen is pushing in, they almost have enough to turn in. They're getting a keep. They've just been dominating this game from the start to the end.
Yeah,
this has been really good execution. Doesn't even explain how well Oxygen has been doing this, and I know Justin is surely going to be able to break it down for us at the end of this matchup. You know what? I make it kind of sound like Simplicity will lose. When you look at the map, it kind of seems that way, but 16 talent here could be that turnaround moment. We'll have to see what Simplicity does, or will Oxygen continue this unstoppable pressure on Tomb and Spider Queen?
Yeah, right now, Oxygen is the crocodile and Simplicity is the moose that's trying to get a sippy cup of water. And it's just not looking good. Maybe they'll get away, but they're already limping. And, well, you never know. Miracles can still happen. Simplicity's trying to hold on. Got the gems, getting a bruiser camp depush. And there aren't quite enough gems yet for Oxygen. One gem, one dream, one level 16, one team fight, and Simplicity may be back into it. But first, we're going to have one pause.
We'll have a pause from one of the Simplicity players. Looks like they haven't explained why. They just said 1 second, so we should be getting back into the game in just a second here.
1 second.
I didn't even mean to do it. I really didn't even mean to do it. It looks like it's lag. Okay, so one of the players is experiencing a little bit of lag. We'll let that kind of level out, and we'll talk about. Let's talk about, because we've been talking about how Oxygen's doing well. I've been on that Oxygen train. Let's talk about what Simplicity can do here. They've got a half a level till 16. How do they close this gap? Is it just turtle up and pray that the game doesn't end? Or is it play aggressive and maybe look for a pick? What would you do here, Grubby, if you're the side of Simplicity?
So you always try to look for a sensible comeback, a sensible outcome. And when that doesn't work, I think you should try nonsensible.
Ooh. So,
and I almost never see it. People generally try to play the game the right way, but just like something as dumb as 5 people running in a tower and telling a knock-knock joke. Like, knock-knock, who's there? An underleveled team that has no reason being here. Okay, I guess we're going to clean you up. And then you're like, reverse jujitsu. And just because it looks so dumb that you're there on the tower, maybe you can get a kill. Because you can see the writing on the wall. This is going to be the slow attrition of hopelessness. So you got to do something dumb, and sometimes there are just no good ways to create a machination of a comeback just because it's not being given to you. You can feel it. You don't have good enough engage. You don't have good enough position. You don't have the map vision. So just forego everything you think you know about the game and just do something really dumb.
I honestly, I think you're right. Like, I think doing something just unexpected is your best bet. And, well, let's go ahead and find out what's going to happen here, because we are ready to go back into the game. We are here. Thank you for your patience with the slight pause that we've had. But Our admin has resumed the game. Bad Benny comes in with a huge dwarf toss. He's holding. He's got it. There's the Stormbolt. He was waiting for that Iron Skin to end. Unfortunately, the Light Bomb doesn't synergize because the Leap was already used as the Engage tool, but here comes the blue Web Weavers for Oxygen Esports, pushing in really far into these lanes. These Web Weavers ascend pretty far down, around the forts for each 3 lanes.
Yeah, this is, I think this is the gongs are sounding, the gongs of the final hour for Simplicity here. They're slow playing it. They have very little chance. Porky has already been spotted on the flank. Actually, they're not positioning like they've spotted him, but I thought they saw him. He jumps in.
Yasu and friends see it. Leaping strike.
He wanted to go for Anduin, but Anduin was too fast.
A little too speedy. Web Weaver through bottom lane, around 80% HP is on the core. There's a Sundering from the Thrall, an arrow from Slips, but the keep is falling. The core is starting to take some shielding damage. Porky gets a big heal over time right now. There's a root onto Lupus from the level 16 of Nyx's Numbing Blast, a 1-second root. Porky is going to get the Righteous Hammer, but the Web Weaver in mid is going to take down this keep. Ardent Defender gets a full HP, or gets Porky back to full HP, as Lupus is getting a little bit low here. The top lane Web Weaver secures the keep. That is 2 structures going down. No significant or no permanent core damage, only some shields to be scratched, but Oxygen Esports, they've got the map opened up. They could look for some sort of deep flank, they could look for a team fight, or they could just wait for Simplicity to step up and then take a fight there. We'll have to see what Oxygen does.
Yeah, they can do anything. 1 level away, the boss spawns in 5 seconds, and that's going to be it, right? Simplicity will try to make a Hail Mary play for the boss. They have no other choices. Boss turns yellow, and Simplicity has a siege camp going on their core. They have 1 minute to clean this up.
Thrall is done with his level 16. That is not the level 1. That is going to be the Thunderstorm. But the fight will break out. Hanzo with the arrow. Copen drops the bunker. Big dwarf toss in from Bad Benny as Rhaegar goes down. No Ancestral for 20 seconds as Porky is picked off. A lot of gems to be dropped. Big leap in from this Muradin as he has that launch at 16. The heavy impact at level 7, which is going to have that 80% slow for 1.5 seconds. But in the next few seconds, we're going to see Bad Benny and Oxygen Esports take a very dominant Tomb of the Spider Queen, a 13-minute Tomb game that was just all Oxygen. I'm going to be blunt on this one. Oxygen, they came for a 3-0, and it's looking like they've got the momentum to take the series that way. But first, they got 2 more maps to go. GG, over to Oxygen.
Couldn't agree with you more. It's definitely looking like that. Bahamut 9-0 in kills, 3-level lead, 6 forts versus 0. It's hard to make a more convincing statement of your dominance in a game. And now with the 1-0, Simplicity will have to wonder, where did it go wrong? Or where did it go right? Game number 2 will be on the horizon. But first we're going to find out what exactly happened here. Was it draft? Was it execution? Was it all of it? Justin?
There's definitely more execution than draft, as this is kind of what you would expect from a team that is contesting for 2nd place versus a team that is contesting for 6th or 7th place. This is, I mean, to be blunt, that's what you would expect, is it to look like this. This is Oxygen completely flexing on Simplicity. They were just super proactive on the map at all points. There was really no lulls in pressure for Oxygen. They're just constantly looking for things at all times. And that's also what you would expect from the roster of Oxygen. Oxygen's roster individually looks to be about as scary as it gets, with the exception of 30k, which I would say it's about a draw, just an NA versus EU version of it. They have very seasoned players. They have players here like Nick on the Jaina. You have Yasu, who's been playing in all the seasons as well. You have Copen, who, well, we don't know him too well in the CCL. He's been around in the scene forever. I remember watching replays of him in like 2015, and Bad Benny playing the tank. He's a seasoned HGC player, so you have the superstar roster, and of course Hasu. It's just such a insane roster, and they haven't really been able to mesh quite on the same level as 30k yet. But it's nice to see that they're improving together as a team and that they're scaling up here in this season. It's really what you would expect. This game, Porky had about the least amount of fun he could probably ever have on the Urel in the offlane, just getting bullied in a 2v1. It was Porky on the Urel just suffering to the Blaze and the Jaina permanently in his lane. It felt like he was in a 2v1 the whole time, and it must be frustrating from his perspective when it doesn't feel like the rest of the map and a 4v3 is really getting the value that he would hope. And a lot of that is because they have the Thrall. Thrall on Tomb we don't see very much. He doesn't have the most opportunities to flank here. He doesn't have very good wave clear, and he's also not very safe. So he doesn't have a lot of he just doesn't do much in the early game. He's not a hero that you want to leave top to catch all the waves. He's not a hero that you want to leave in the solo lane bottom. So he doesn't have a lot of utility. It's kind of like drafting another tank. And now that Johanna doesn't have quite the same wave clear she used to have, she doesn't really make up for that wave clear that they had lost. It was really a lot on the Hanzo to be able to clear all the waves. And it's just too much for Simplicity on a small map like this to be able to make any proactive plays. It felt like they never really got the chance. And that's mostly because Oxygen was just taking it and running with it. Any small advantage, which they mostly got through the 2v1 bot, they would bring somewhere else on the map, and Oxygen just non-stop. Felt like Simplicity didn't have a chance to breathe.
It was like from the get-go on Tomb of the Spider Queen, Oxygen had a game plan for almost every minute of like, okay, we're going to rotate here, we're going to gank Porky, we're going to go clear some waves, we're going to gank Porky again. I think that was also a big factor in this as well, is Oxygen getting those early kills onto Porky. Not only is it experience, but it also is mentals. Shutting down a Yrel it's not an easy task, but to do it so consistently really does kind of mess with the enemy a little bit. Like, okay, well, where can we actually be if we're getting ganked in our bottom lane in a relatively safe place for what you assume a Yrel should be safe in? So it's very interesting to see the dynamics thus far in our series, and we can go ahead and find out where we're going to for map number 2 in this second best of 5 of the day. This will be Oxygen Esports taking us to Shire, as the members of Simplicity have opted as the losing team for first pick. Grubby, thoughts on Shire as we're about to load into our draft?
Shire. Solo lane is very, very important here. We have seen a lot of Blaze domination, where every time a team tries to get a kill, the bunker comes out. Blaze is also good here, but perhaps even better are the Haka and Hogger. They're a little bit better in the one-on-one than Blaze, so expect to see something like that. And expect to see some unprecedented, at least in Storm League, rotational play. In Storm League, this is very much a 1-0-4 split, usually.
Yeah.
With almost no one doing mid, top is an island. What I love about watching competitive Shire is that it's all over the place. Usually, one person protecting bot, one top, and 3 people floating in between camps, top ganks, bottom ganks. It's a lot of fun to watch. The one thing you will not see a whole lot of, especially without the Haka, if he gets banned or not picked, one thing you won't see a whole lot is people grouping up as 5 almost at any time before level 20. This is rare because it's so important to be in many different places at the same time to prevent your opponent from getting the objective and to defend lanes and camps.
So we're into the draft, and it is going to be a Sergeant Hammer. I think the members of Simplicity just find Sergeant Hammer noisome. She's just unpleasant to be around. She's just like, ugh, if it just smells of motor and gas. I mean, I guess you can't smell the game. But Justin, thoughts as we're getting into the Shire ban phase here, both teams targeting out some specifics.
Yeah, Sergeant Hammer needs to be permabanned against any team that can play it, so I like seeing that from Simplicity. It has felt just way too strong in every game that we've seen of it. So that's good on Simplicity to ban that out. On the other side, you have Oxygen target banning Tiger JK and his Maiev, which is another target ban. So it's very, very team specific with the bans so far. We have even another one with the Tracer being banned out. So just very, very specific things here. But that does mean that between Lucio and Junkrat, one of them will get through if either team wants it here in the draft.
And I wonder what Oxygen is okay with giving away. Is it going to be the Lucio? Will it be that Junkrat? I personally would rather play up. Okay, it's going to be...
Oh.
Oxygen's actually saying, okay, you get a Junkrat or a Lucio, we get a Junkrat or like we're going to... That's at least my expectation, Grubby, in the trade.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Yasuo's Lucio is feared. Nonetheless, Simplicity prioritizes Junkrat, so most likely we will see a Lucio. And then maybe the Haka, Copen the Haka, I think would make sense.
Ooh, they kick things off with the Joanna, so a strong anchor. I mean, this is a Bad Benny hero where he goes in for those deep flanks, pop Iron Skin, and just kind of walks through everything. This is looking good, Justing, for, I would say, Oxygen at the start.
Yeah, Bad Benny's the one Johanna player that I really fear on Shire, because he does just pop the Iron Skin from a flank and run into your backline and bless shield them from melee, which most tank players aren't doing. It's a scary thought to have an unstoppable Joe just running into your backline. But in general, it doesn't lend too well to the map. Neither does the Lucio. The Lucio is okay for disrupting rotations and stalling out rotations, but on Shire, it's a lot better to have a support that is really self-reliant and can do things by themselves or in 2v2s or 3v3s. Rhaegar being picked up I like quite a bit because he does camps very well and he can just do things on his own on Shire. And also the Hogger being picked up is nice because in the matchups with the Dahaka and the Blaze, the Hogger is going to come out ahead. And if they ban the Dahaka, it's a lot more just team-based heroes for Oxygen if they were to pick up that Blaze. So I'd hope to see the Dahaka ban. I think that it will leave Oxygen's draft a little bit awkward, where they will have a lot of heroes that need to be grouped up to really get any value at all.
I like the target ban onto Lupus's Garrosh as well. We have not had the chance to see his Garrosh. It is something that I've gotten to cast in the past, and it's really, really good, and these teams already respecting it consistently as the Sylvanas ban will be coming through. What is this priority coming? Oh, wow. Nick goes immediately onto a Tyrael, or at least a Tyrael is drafted. I kind of like this Grubby a little bit.
Yeah. They could swap it out where Tyrael's main tank and Johanna's offlane, but actually didn't Nick play Tyrael?
Yes, Nick played offlane Tyrael, or like support base, or it was like auto attack Tyrael, I think it was, with regeneration globes.
And it looks really good. He had like 70k hero damage, no death, something crazy like that. It looked perhaps even better than most tanks playing Tyrael, because guess what? Solo tank, solo frontline Tyrael, not that hot. We see it way too much for how good it purports to be, but I like this one. This looks nice, and they have one more flex.
Genji Muradin. Okay, it's a pretty solid draft for Simplicity. I like their damage. I like their CC. There's layers there's dimensions to their draft. But of course, Justin, we get one more pick out from Oxygen. What are your thoughts on the Simplicity draft and what we will get from Oxygen?
So it depends what Oxygen. Okay, so there's their last pick. That's something that we haven't seen in quite a while, but it does lend well to the composition. They have the ways to enable it with the Lunara, or with the Lucio, as well as the Tyrael, so you have a lot of enabling for the Malthael. Malthael also gives them the ability to basically just play this death ball where they can sprint at you with the Lucio, the Tyrael, and then just a lot of defensive stuff between the Johanna, Tyrael, Lucio, Lunara with the cleanse at 13 as well. The Malthael has a lot of support right now, so that's something that you don't normally account for. You don't normally have 4 heroes that are going to be kind of positively interacting with your Malthael. And on the other side, you have not very good tank killing. So if Nick on the Tyrael is able to do what he did last time and just collect 1 billion regen globes all over the map, he might become a little bit too invincible with the life seal and the regen globes. And then you also have just tanky members in general and a lot of self-healing on the side of Oxygen. So I think it's going to be a very difficult composition to fight into for Simplicity between the Junkrat, the Genji. It's not a lot of heavy damage dealers. There are a lot of heroes who are good at finishing kills or poking out in the side of Junkrat, but there's not a lot of just raw damage on the side of Simplicity, so there might just be a little bit too much tankiness for Oxygen for Simplicity to be able to kill them.
Oh, well, we'll see what happens here, Justin. Thank you for the breakdown, as always. Hazuwubs on the Lunara, Nick on the Tyrael, Bad Benny on the Johanna, Yasu on the Lucio, and Copen on the Malthael. On the side of Simplicity, we got Wishing on the Rhaegar, Lupus on the Muradin, Slips on the Junkrat, Porky on the Hoggerin, Tiger JK on the Genji. Bit of a different draft. I do very much agree with Justin, and the thing that I'm actually kind of worried about for Simplicity is the lack of killing damage. They got good poke, but I wonder if they have enough to really, really find a kill, and we'll have to see if that actually does break out. On the opposing side, I mean, the big thing also to note is Malthael does have healing reduction at, I believe, level 13. I always mix up these talents. Is it 7 or 13? I always mix up these
7.
two. I think it's 7, yeah, because 13's the self-cleanse. But he can also mitigate, he could shut down a lot of ancestral value with that. So I wonder if Malthael is a special tech as well to make Wishing's life a little more, a little bit harder, as Yasu and friends once again putting pressure onto Porky.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think we will see that coming in. Malthael is the finisher here, both in healing, debuff, and damage. He is the special sauce that will kill Muradin or Hogger, or even a post-deflect Genji, though he's not the main target. Very cool draft here by Oxygen, not something that I would ever like to draft with Storm League allies, but I think Oxygen knows what they're doing here with this pick.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have Tyrael already on 3 stacks. We'll keep you up to date on that one because it's just going to be giving him bonus health percent based off of how many stacks he has on that regeneration globe. And we'll see how this build unfolds as the game does progress. I do want to point out also Lupus going to more sustainability on this Murden with the third wind.
Yeah, third wind. Good into Lunara, so that when you're running away and you've got like 9 seconds of poison, your third wind starts to combat the poison, an active antidote, and that's going to keep you alive pretty much every time. That's really fast healing when you're at a low threshold. So definitely sensible into Lunara, allows you to get back into the action earlier. Wishing not going for the totemic build,
Nope.
Instead more safety for oneself, armor and movement speed. He thinks he might be a big target, and I don't blame him.
And that was the pickup last game as well. We see Wishing kind of innovate constantly. Porky damage
He's
over
alive.
time. Okay.
Yeah, it's that it's that extra healing. So that amplified healing and I think it's the amplified healing and the regen. Yeah, it's the regen he gets from level 1.
Yeah, the
passes
passive.
up your evaluation whether he's gonna die.
Yasu?
What?
Yasu should be able to get out, but threatening the Genji behind the gate. Dang.
That's funny. And meanwhile, that buys time, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's not
More
just
pressure.
showboating. That's 2 dead towers. Oxygen doing good on the macro.
And this is kind of this is reminiscent of the last map. It's Oxygen always putting pressure somewhere, not only in lane, but I mean we saw Yasu diving behind the tower to try and get the Genji and forcing or stalling out the recall or the Hearth. Yasu actually might be able to get the objective. No, Hogger's on top, Junkrat on bottom, Tyrael on his 8th stack right now, and we have the Moon and Sunshine to the side of Simplicity, but shouldn't be for long.
Slims is an interesting trap location. If you look at that beacon, I wonder why he puts it right on top right of the beacon inside.
Yeah.
There must be a reason for it. I don't think he's just random. Okay, that one makes a little bit more sense. But he's also gone for the frag launcher test talent. So he's kind of playing as a ranged poke hyper carry, allowing himself to do more damage from afar and speccing less into a trap, which they don't really have the best follow-up for. Kind of makes sense, I guess.
There's the Touch of Death, as I was mentioning, for the level 7 for the Malthael coming through now. So it's going to be a 50% healing reduction. And Lupus Dwarf tosses over the wall. He's got that Skull Cracker. Nick autoing, eats the trap. Junkrat, Concussion Mine on the point. Nick postures forward as Yasu is the flank into all this. Bad Benny getting the channel in the bottom. Malthael to rotate into mid, but Porky should be able to Hogger should be able to get to it in time. Cleanse onto Lupus. Bad Benny and friends will be able to grab the bottom lane camp. And there's Hogger in the top lane, stopping the channel potential, but the fight continues.
Bad Benny actually took a lot of damage going through the tower there. Here, Nomor has Unstoppable. That was a big mistake. He thought he can just squeeze past, like, if you could just let me get past here, but no. They body blocked him, they damaged him, and Slips had the fantastic concussive mine there. First blood actually in the game, and all he had to do was just walk via the bottom side, but he got greedy and he got punished for it.
Yasu gonna wall ride out of this one. Tiger JK just trying to put more pressure on, as we do have Yasu kind of answering back with Lunara floating around in mid. Malthael up in the top lane is forcing Hogger back, or at least Hogger's playing it safe, not trying to take free damage from the Malthael, who really will just kind of sit on top of Hogger and win the 1v1. Gets the mark, he doesn't go for the jump. Or does he? No.
Yeah, you wouldn't have got far with Hogger spinning away.
Yeah.
He'll be soon out of range once again, so that kind of makes sense. Simplicity, reclaiming control of the bottom lane. All camps have been taken. Protection efforts are happening on the siege camp, but there comes the Hazuwubs Lunara flank. Slips, runs away with Concussor.
Yasu, wall riding around, amping it up, has the reverse amp from the level 7. And I'm waiting very patiently to see how this fight works out. Nick is autoing into Lupus. They're kind of trading back and forth in those autos as we have the 10 talents here approaching a little bit faster for Oxygen. They've gotten more camps and they've managed to get some earlier siege, as this is Joanna anchored in the mid to try and deny any sort of channel into the Dragonite. And both teams actually, they should hit 10s almost simultaneously now that I see some of the experience coming in from minion waves.
And I'm looking at the Porky one-on-one with Copen. He won the one-on-one just now, but then Copen went for the tap and he came back with good health. Porky uses the Garbage Fire and the Loot Horde Sustain to do a little better here.
Oh, that's a bad bounce.
Yeah.
Last Rites,
he's alive.
Blessed Shield, he should go down, and that is quick enough to give a stack over to the Maltfield. Now, quickly, I want to point out here, Judgment Material. I love it. I love a Judgment Material. Uh-oh, he might have to judge right here just to buy a little bit of room to knock back the enemy. No, Sound Barrier from Yasu. No high five. The chase continues. Oh, but Yasu is a little miscommunication right there. As Tyrion's like, I'm gonna go back to my sword. And in top, Genji.
Threw that sword back. Tiger JK try. Oh, is he trying to get away or trying to get the kill? Genji. 18 health.
The spray, and the hearth. Beautiful.
Yeah, that was a very interesting X-Strike because he could have gotten away. Oh, Porky again. The bullies, but he spins away.
Meanwhile, the bullying onto Nick in this bottom lane as he's lost his fort front gate. And we're seeing some pings come out from the side of Simplicity, focusing onto the fort. Judgment Material onto Slips. There's going to be Cleanse, a concussion mine, but here comes Bad Benny. That's Blessed Shield. That's a kill. Maybe a second. Wishing Self-Ancestral gets a big bar of HP. Last Rites is available if Copen can find someone low enough, but no. And in top lane, I do want to point out we have a camp on the fort. Porky making sure that laser, the Sunshine, is in favor for his team.
It's funny that when that judgment came out, I thought, what the heck is he doing? It's 2v4. And I didn't even see the rotation on the map yet. They weren't seen yet either. But not enough time for Bad Benny to come in with that flanking Blessed Shield.
Mm-hmm. And it's not that long of a cooldown. 70 seconds, 10 seconds longer than a Blessed Shield, as they're actually kind of close together in the way that they were layered in the team fight there. Porky trying to push back Yasu, but now Yasu's kind of created enough time for Copen to rotate up. This is going to be Porky speeding his way out of this. He does not want to get ganked again. Joanna's in mid. We could potentially see a Dragonite, but no, Genji's floating around. He does have the delay.
That's the sort of justice coming out. This is super good for Tyrael. Every time Tyrael does damage...
Sorry.
Oh, Murden getting murdered.
He's getting morbed. Sorry.
Every time Tyrael does damage, up to 10 times, he gets more and more healing over time. Oh, double leaping, Judgment to push Murden down, actually. There's another push from the Soundwave. Is there a Blessed Shield? He does.
Yes.
Condemn, punish, wishing. Lupus gets away, but the doggo falls.
Lupus getting the avatar at the most critical moment right there. I feel like it was perfectly timed to get that little extra healing. And we have the trait kicking in as well with that level 1. Stormbolt onto 1, Concussion Mine onto Nick, who is going to be... Did he, like, I think he sorted right into a trap and then tried to get back out. The explosion from Tyrael is going to be focused onto the wave here, as Malthael has the top channel. Junkrat in the bottom, gets the counter channel. Vortipult in, Riptire, Bad Benny low, does go down. Leaping Strikes, Porky might be traded, but Hazuwubs, with not a lot of mana, respects the enemy and backs away. Kinda.
Very nice job by Simplicity to get these counter kills here after they kind of got attacked. Now they're all 5 here. So I thought we're not going to see a lot of 5-mans early game, but Simplicity did it. They are still down 0.8 of the level. They are leading in structures, actually. They're about to take quite a lot of damage on their top wave, as they are completely ignoring it right now. I wonder whether Genji on Tiger JK Genji is going to go top to soak that. Yeah, he does.
And Copen putting a little pressure in the rotation as the bottom lane fort shall fall in favor for Simplicity. First structure to fall. Simplicity with a lot of firsts in this game. We'll see if that will continue here. Lupus just trying to back away, misses the Stormbolt, gets the Dwarf Toss.
He hit one.
on the bottom. Oh, he did? I thought it just completely whiffed.
He hit Tyrael. Tyrael got stunned, and then because it's piercing, it looks like, it didn't connect with everyone.
Joanna's in mid. Man, it's been tense just trying to see which team can get the first Dragonite. We haven't even had a Dragonite yet in the game. 10 minutes in, level 16 approaching for both sides. This could be the Dragonite in mid. Genji, he's just going to be delayed out by the Joanna and the Lucio.
I love games like this. I can see why many teams ban Dragonshire, because you never get that big satisfying 5-on-5 team fight for a long time. And there's a lot of solo lane bullying and stuff. But I like games like this. It's very dynamic. We are going to turn the top against the bottom again. 50-50 control of the shrine. Still no objective. 1-4 down. We see 4 members of Simplicity near the bottom taking the siege camp. This is risky. They do not have their 16. Bad Benny does a Blessed Shield on the siege camp.
over the wall, Ancestor healing, Judgment from the Tyrael, Augur coming in as well, Riptire from the Junkrat. I think it put on a 10-second cooldown. Yes, that's a sound barrier from the Lucio's. Junkrat goes down, Rhaegar to fall. Ancestor healing was on I think it was just used or something. Lupus so very low goes down. That's another stack onto last rights. Porky to fall. It's a quadra kill for the side of Oxygen. Now, what do they get with this? A guaranteed Dragonite, but how much more?
I think they get 3 forts off of this if they play it right. I think you want to have 3 forts. I don't think you go for bottom keep, but I can remain to be stand corrected. I wonder if we could have a replay of that. Oh, perfect, we're getting it. Wonderful. So that loot horde, that's the orange team. That's Simplicity throwing the loot horde. Look at this. Porky's trying to save the retreat, throws a loot horde, but it actually ends up body blocking everyone. He ends up dispersing the loot horde eventually, but yeah, maybe it was already doomed either way. That was a level 15 siege cap invade. I mentioned how risky it was while Simplicity was doing it. They thought they can pick up the XP from the camp, use it to get 16, and then fight in a decent spot. Just in time, Oxygen showed up though. I mean, we're talking a matter of seconds. And that's how it all turned against them. Now, 2 forts are down. Top wasn't targeted. They're going to choose to go for the keep instead. There's an X-Strike. It cleanses some of the poison. Judgment!
No!
Lands, but he goes down. Nick gets the kill, and he teleports out. Great job, Nick.
A lot of really good value from the level 13 Sword of Justice. Oh, man. It's crazy to see, like, every single Tyrael was like Holy Ground level 13. It's the only talent, and now we're seeing so much more Sword of Justice, and it's getting such crazy good value here as the mid fort, bottom fort will fall during this objective. Top lane took a lot of damage, and it seems like Oxygen, they're not done with applying map pressure, stealing away this Bruiser camp. Genji dead for 10 more seconds.
Very spread damage across Oxygen. We're looking at Lunara with 39,000 hero damage. Tyrael 27, Lucio 25, Malthael 29. So while Lucio comes in 4th, he's close behind. And I mean, 25k damage on Lucio, that's a lot. This is why Yasuo's Lucio is feared. You saw him just auto-attacking, and it seems funny while he's auto-attacking you until suddenly it's not. Your health dropping to the low 90%. 80%, 70, 60, and he's just gonna keep going at you.
So the pressure is going to keep coming at the side of Simplicity with a camp and top just grabbed. Bottom lane will have a Bruiser camp as well. The Dragonite phase from when the Dragonite falls to when the announcement happens is actually extremely short on this map. I believe it's a 1 minute 30 timer on that, so we should actually have that back up fairly soon for Contestion, but until then, it is going to be a big fight in the bottom lane. This is full 5v5. There's going to be the Judgment from the Tyrael coming to the flank. No level 20s for the side of Oxygen, but they don't need it. Malthael gets the kill right there. No last rights. There's the last rights onto Lupus. That does snipe the kill. I think Oxygen goes lethal for the next... They've got 40 seconds.
I think you're quite right. They could. That was a 2,307 damage lost rights that had an overkill of just 208. That was a lot of damage. It burns right through Avatar. Merlin doesn't have that stone form at 16 to heal extra. Is this going to be lethal, or will they be one-off lethal? They're trying to go for the keep. Meanwhile, Malthael is farming the Dragonite.
Yep, Malthael got the bottom. We have the camp pushing in through top. This should be a keep to go down before Rhaegar respawns, and then I expect Oxygen to just disengage safely, get the Dragonite, and then look for core off of Dragonite potentially. It's 11-3 in kills, 20-18 in our levels. And we actually have the Tyrael going into the Seal of Eldruin using basic abilities, grants 50% attack speed for 3 seconds.
That's how Sword is going to go.
He's just going to be autoing his way through the enemy, and here comes Copen. Okay, Dragonite, right now, 765 damage into structures. Is this enough to end the game through bottom, or is this a keep?
You said 765. I think 760 might not be. I think it's just enough. Let's go for the core.
Well, this is mid lane. Tyrael in the bottom. Yeah, Malthael and friends, they're going for keep front gate. They still have a level lead over the side of Simplicity. Opening up the map further does give consistent catapult pressure, especially in a lane that has no mid fort down.
Yeah, the Dragonite only has 2.5 Diablo health pools, so they don't feel like it's enough to just right-click core and ignore. They're going to go for the keep, the safe play that opens up the map and makes winning statistically more likely. They can still try to go for core if they get a single kill. Bad Penny is looking. He's looking. Blast Shield misses.
Judgment was actually put on a 10-second cooldown right there, so it's about to be off a cooldown. Nick is looking to just pressure into the backline as the Dragonite moves towards core, taking down some of the shielding. And we have Rhaegar just trying to bite out as this shielding is falling and the core HP is falling rapidly. That's going to be 60-some% left on the core. We do have this brawl breaking out around the core as the Ancestral Healing will connect into Lupus, but the healing mitigation shuts down so much of that Ancestral. Lupus gets chunked by the Lacerates. It's Junkrat to fall, Lupus to go down, X-Strike from Genji, not finding the value, wishing to get killed. Porky bouncing around. He's right next to Yasu, and Yasu is licking his chops, and he says, Noel's on the menu for dinner tonight, as it's a quadra kill and a map number 2 to Oxygen Esports.
Noel roast. He loves him some Noel roast. That was a big touch of death on Muradin with Lost Rights combination. It blocked the Ancestral. It chunked him for something fierce, 2k plus damage, no doubt. And then Lucio with the interrupt. Yasu coming in with the sound wave, stopping and popping that Muradin. Unable to get out of that with the Dwarf Toss. And that was the end of the end. GG.
Now, Justing, let's get you back in here to break down everything from Dragonshire. And the question that I pose to you immediately here is, did Oxygen Esports have 6 members on their team?
It felt that way, especially with Yasu playing, all over the place, and with some trash piles in some of the team fights. But it did feel that way a little bit, like there was almost a whole member advantage for Oxygen. But the early game wasn't the most impactful for either team. It was just mostly a trade of top side and bot side, where Oxygen strangely is playing for top, whereas Simplicity playing for bottom, which is sort of the standard on Dragonshire, because it's basically impossible to end through top. So the early game actually felt like, well, it seemed as though Oxygen was doing more. Simplicity was still kind of winning in the early game. They were getting more objectives, and they were kind of counter-engaging onto Oxygen, where Oxygen would get a little bit too aggressive, and they would get punished for it. There were a couple moments like this one where Bad Benny will get punished for that in the early game, just being a little too over-eager for Oxygen. And when Simplicity was able to group, they were doing quite well, but Oxygen just a little bit too seasoned, a little bit too confident, and when they get any kind of small lead or opportunity to take a small lead, they make it a huge one. Whereas Simplicity, if they get a kill, they don't break the game open off of a single kill or off of 2 kills or a single fight, whereas when Oxygen gets a single pick or they get a kill, they turn that into a lot more. And that's just the veterancy of the team. It's the confidence of the team, especially with the way they ended the game. This was the fight that really lost the game for Simplicity and won it for Oxygen. This was what broke apart the entire game. You have a 4-for-0 fight here where, unfortunately, the trash pile that Porky leaves here sort of blocks in his whole team. It was kind of funny to me to watch. Saw Wishing and Slips on the Junkrat and the Rhaegar just getting stuck on it. It looked like they literally couldn't move. Porky kind of just dumped his trash on the floor and turned around and had himself a walk, and it's kind of like, cool guys don't look at dirty, fiery trash piles, and he just kind of let his team die to it. And I think that was a bit of a miscommunication in the comms. He definitely wasn't paying attention to that, kind of, did his job and left, but I thought that was pretty funny. It was unfortunately the fight that broke apart the game, where Oxygen is able to just snowball the lead super hard off of that. That 4-for-0 gets them almost the entire bot keep, and then they just get another 2 picks through bottom, which leads to the Dragon Knight, where they have the perfect macro to play to push through bottom. They end up getting the bottom keep off of these 2 picks. You have the Last Rites from Malthael, which combos with the healing reduction, which also counters the Rhaegar. We saw that. We've seen that a bit in the past. In the earlier weeks, we saw some Malthael to counter the Rhaegar, but it hasn't been too prevalent until here. And you basically just had a bunch of Fruit Fly type heroes on the side of Oxygen that are they're weaving in and out of combat permanently, making it nearly impossible for Simplicity to really lock anyone down and get any real kills. But Oxygen's veterancy is just seeming to be a little bit too much for Simplicity right now.
It is looking really, really strong for Oxygen, as we are 2 maps up in this best-of-5 series. Oxygen Esports could shut things down in a 3-0, which would be good for their standing. Simplicity could rally and start getting their brooms out. We are going to take a short little break. In that break, I encourage you to hit ! Prize pool. I have been noticing that all of you have been so very generous today. We've been pushing that prize pool up further and further. We're nearing 13,000 because of your generosity and your love for HeroesCCL. If you'd like to push that prize pool to the $13,000 mark, you can use ! 1,000-point prize pool in chat. But as I mentioned, we're here in our best of 5. We'll see if Oxygen can close things out or if Simplicity starts to rally when we come back here on HeroesCCL, presented by Wisdom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to HeroesCCL, presented by Wisdom. My name's Bahamut, joined by Grubby and Justing in our second best of 5 of the day. And we currently have Oxygen Esports up in this series, looking to close things out in a 3-0 and solidify some good gains in the league standings. But of course, Grubby, Justing, we have had a little bit of a break. How are you feeling? Are you ready, energized for this next map, Grubby?
Always ready for more HoTS. We're one map away from Oxygen clinching a top 3 auto qualification position into the playoffs and that LAN. This is very good news for them. Wildheart losing was their ticket to a auto qualified top 3, and they are one map away from it. Imagine if, but I find it hard to see, but imagine if Simplicity won the next 3.
You know, you never know, and we can actually find out where we're going to for map number 3 in this series, and we can continue talking about our expectations for it, as it's going to be Oxygen, with the map pick of Alterac Pass and Simplicity opting for first pick priority as the losing team. Same question to you, Justing, as we also do know the map as well. Thoughts on the map series or the games in general so far?
Yeah, Oxygen is just looking like a different breed in this series so far. They are the team that is currently contesting for second and third place. So it's expected going up against Simplicity. They do have a new roster, but it does not look like they're quite strong enough to be able to take down Oxygen as of yet. Maybe we'll see a reverse sweep, but it's not looking super likely unless Oxygen gets massively outdrafted by Simplicity. And that's not really looking super likely either. We haven't seen anything too crazy. As soon as the Maiev is banned away, it feels like Simplicity maybe not quite as powerful without it. Maybe a little bit too much of their power relies on Tiger JK and his Maiev pick.
I think you just go for broke and just honestly draft Cho'Gall, or you just play a fun draft. Like I think at this point you move away from meta and you look for some comfort, something fun, something that you feel like is going to be like a Falstad with like maybe, I don't know, Diablo or Muradin, or like something that you can like wombo people into a corner and then get some big burst as well. We'll have to see how Simplicity can innovate here, because we're loaded onto the draft for Alterac Pass. A large map, a lot of macro. I mean, on Shire, Oxygen looked pretty fine, Grubby, so I think the macro is good for Oxygen as they have chosen this map, but we'll see how Simplicity does, because they looked better than Tomb of the Spider Queen on Dragon.
Yeah, they look better. That's definitely true. They lost so badly on Tomb. Well, it's hard to say where it's going to go from here. Simplicity can have some special picks. We haven't seen a whole lot of global and macro focus play from Simplicity per se yet. Let's see if we're going to get that. At this point, Oxygen may feel fine to let Junkrat go through. May not be the power pick here. Even if Junkrat's available, Simplicity may want to focus on instead getting Nubarak, which seems really good here. And we'll go and see. Will it be a Nubarak? Will it be Lucio? Will it be Junkrat? Yazu felt very strong on Lucio last game, so giving him that again seems like a tough decision to make.
It's a decision they're going to make here, Justing first pick onto the Junkrat once again.
Yeah, Lucio is available. It's instantly taken by Yasu. Not a huge surprise there. He is kind of the one who, even before Lucio was kind of this first pick ban priority meta pick, Yasu was one of the best Lucios we had, and it was kind of, he was one of the lone people playing it back then. Now it's very common, and he's still quite good on it. We saw him zooming around, doing some Cecil steers in the last game, just zooming all over the place. Yeah. And he will get it again. I'm a little bit worried for Simplicity. This feels, I mean, this is the same 3 picks they had previously, and they couldn't get a win there. It is a different map. It isn't Shire. I would expect Oxygen to be better than Simplicity on Shire. So here on Alterac, their composition might be a little bit stronger. It's going to be a lot more of them being together and being able to just play for an easy 5v5 team fight, not so hectic as it is on Shire. So their picks are still strong, even if they didn't get the win with it in the last game.
And a target onto Stitches. I do like that quite a bit, Grubby, as we did see some Stitches earlier today paired with the Junkrat working very well.
Yeah, the Stitches ban feels here like what sometimes Vikings and ABBA bans feel like, in terms of, we think with Lucio and Blaze we're unkillable. We will save people with high five and speed and bunkers and stuns. As long as you can't isolate one of us away, our 5-man will be too powerful for anything you can bring against us. So that Stitches ban feels to me like Oxygen locking down any loose ends and weaknesses.
We're going to get 2 more picks out from Oxygen, and we'll see what they're going to pair with this Lucio. That's a nice Sylvanas. Hazuwubs didn't get targeted on the Lunara, but still, going for the Sylvanas I think is great here, and the members of Oxygen can flex with that last pick as Justing. We have 2 more picks from Simplicity. This will lock in what could be their final draft in our round-robin play.
Yeah, something I want to quickly touch on is Oxygen has been the map pick in all of these games, and I think Oxygen is happy to be the map pick.
Yeah.
They have Nick as their flex, and second pick doesn't... you get the last pick of the whole draft, counter it with anything you want, and so if you have a player who likes to play these weird things, who wants to play something a little bit different that's really flexible, depending on what the enemy is drafted, you want to be second pick. You don't want to be first pick. So they're kind of getting both things that they want. Ooh. In that sense, and now here's their weird last pick. Okay, it's
I like it.
Double support with the 7-sided from Monk. It's interesting. I do think that Monk is pretty strong in general, but he does lack some of the same level of sustain that the other supports have right now in the meta. So picking him as a double support, it's definitely weird, and Lucio is not typically the support that you would pair it with. The expectation is that it's the high 5 from Lucio, so that Monk can forego the level 16 cleanses and instead go for punchy fists. I don't remember what it's called. I just know he hits him, the punchy fists. So he's gonna have those most likely at level 16. The damage punches. If they go with the high 5 at level, or the high 5 at level 10 for Lucio, that would kind of make up for that. They have the percent damage now into the Diablo. Overall, I think Simplicity's composition is still really good into double support. You have things like Rhaegar, who can go into Totem, which reduces spell power. You have Junkrat, which is very strong into double support. If he goes the questing at level 4, you're stacking up quite a bit with double support, and being able to get those infinite stacks kind of negates your double support when eventually the Junkrat can do so much damage that the supporting doesn't matter. This game, I do think Simplicity has a better draft. I'm normally a big fan of double support, but this isn't really the optimal double support comp. So we'll see if Simplicity can start the reverse sweep here. I think their draft is just better.
We'll see if that'll be the case, because we've got Oxygen in the blue, Bad Betting on the Muradin, Hazuwubs on the Sylvanas, Nick to play the Karazim, Yasu on the Lucio, and Copen on the Blaze. On the side of Simplicity, looking to get their brooms out, start the reverse sweep potential. Porky to be playing the Hogger, Wishing on the Rhaegar, Lupus on the Diablo, Tiger JK on the Greymane, and Slips to play the Junkrat. We move into mid lane, and Justin makes a lot of good points, but I'm kind of just feeling the Oxygen games here so far, Grubby, so I'm feeling like Oxygen can take this in a 3-0. What are you thinking as we start things out with some nice cheese, a nice Munster in the top lane on this tower?
Overpower on Muradin seems like the lowest value ability he could press there. But yeah, 1 tower down already. Yasu getting up close and personal. Yeah, I think I mean I agree with you. The power level that Oxygen has shown so far should see them through to a 3-0. Simplicity can have something to be said about it, though. The draft is good for Simplicity. It's in their hands. If they lose this, all I can say is that it was a deserved victory for Oxygen. Yasu! First blood, second blood. All right, I like the start of this. I knew it was going to be a bloodthirsty game when 3 rabid dogs were selected. Simplicity picked 1 doggo for game 1, 2 doggos for game 2, and 3 doggos for game number 3. So that should be pretty good.
You gotta scale the dogs up in every single game a little bit from Simplicity, as null packs are going to be traded here. Does Oxygen delay at all, or is it going to be the immediate grab? No delay, and both teams almost simultaneously. I would say maybe a second or a second and a half apart on that channel, as teams will be approaching level 4 as well. Taking stock of the level 1, the big thing, just to note for the Karazim, is he will be going into the Iron Fist for the extra damage, as this boy is going to be punching, and we'll see if Justing is right with the Way of 1,000 Punches.
Way of 1,000 Fists, Way of the Pugilists. Let's see if that's going to be it. Cleanse, I mean, Cleanse is still good.
Oh yeah.
Yes, even when you have high 5.
I mean, more cleanses. Block Totem was going to be really big for the Karazim as well. Going to mitigate and stop some of the auto attack value from this. From the Greymane. I was looking at Junkrat. Sorry, he was poking onto the Muradin. I thought there might have been a potential kill. Dark Flight onto Muradin. Stormbolt. Bad Benny. He's still fine. He's got 75 armor.
25 armor. Something that Karazim can also get at level 13, Sixth Sense, when you get stunned or rooted. Get 75 physical armor. Really get into Greymane and Rhaegar, and procs often by Hogger, Diablo, and Junkrat. So that might be the pick there. Allows Karazim to play nice and aggressive.
Aggression is out from both sides. We do have a little bit of an experience advantage to the side of Oxygen, but I think that's still lanes to be cleared out as Nick jumps around, recognizing the enemy was rotating onto him. Nick taps well. Blaze on the left does grab another camp. Rhaegar and... Greymane and Hogger, different dogs, grabbing the camp over on the right-hand side, and the Hazuwubs will be able to grab this soak through top 7 talent tiers soon. We'll see how the objective phase is played. Lucio, Yasuo is already clearing out the jailers, though those won't respawn until the objective is channeled, and Hazu says, hey, if I see so many in bottom, let me activate my black arrows and get some free siege.
It makes me wonder why they are constantly sending both Hogger and Greymane to the camp. Is it invades they're afraid of? But then you can still try to respond? Why is that little bit of extra speed that they add to each other worth it with -1 on the map? Because Sylvanas got a full tower for that. If Greymane was top, it wouldn't have happened. Hogger camp is a couple of seconds later. I mean, we'll see in the long run, right? It's an investment to get camps quicker because you'll get more of them on average in a game, but feels wrong.
Yeah, Blaze has been doing it fine on his own, and actually Oxygen's been finding more value through their camps in the mid lane. So it is more and more for Oxygen here as Bad Benny gets the dwarf toss over the wall. Nick comes in for some damage on the Lupus, who's going to be shadow charged, overpowered into the wall, and Nick really doesn't care. He's got Yasuo around, amping it up. Stormbolt from the Murden. Lupus does have the trap around to help out, and Bad Benny going to be zoned by the Junkrat for now. And Sylvanas back in the top lane. She's fine, taps well.
Bahamut?
Hi.
Do you think that Bad Benny... Yeah, hi. Hey, you're here too.
Oh my
you
god.
Like watching this game?
I love
Me
this
too.
game.
Whoa. Did Bad Benny misclick his 7?
Give max attacking heroes that are stunned, rooted, or slowed increase Murden's basic attack. Wouldn't that synergize extremely well with reverse amp?
It always synergizes well with things, and yet it is never picked.
That's true.
Skullcracker, mini stun sets up the bolt. Heavy impact, mega slow sets up the bolt. Given the axe, just damage. Generally don't see it all that much.
They want damage here. Maybe that's what Oxygen they were loading into the game. They were like, look, we got an auto attack Karazim, we got a Sylvanas, we have Yasuo on Lucio who had more damage than Genji in the last game. I think we need more damage, Bad Benny, so make sure you get that level 7. It could have been a misclick, or it literally could be Bad Benny saying, we're going to get amplified damage from the objective, and I can amplify damage on top of that with reverse amp or oil slicks from the Blaze, and I think this is actually really, really big brain from Bad Benny.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I've never seen this in CCL.
Oh,
Lucio going down. Yazoo, second death here, but Black Arrow's still active. By the way, Sylvanas level 1 also slows, so it synergizes with pretty much almost everyone.
And Black Arrow's locked down the tower, allowing the Murden to jump in. Nick goes down to the Nexus Forces, but it's going to be Slips who actually had most of that damage.
Yeah, Nick tried to dive Slips. We didn't see it, but we know what happened, roughly. He's 7-sided. He tried to get Slips. Slips wins with 200 health left. Cool one-on-one under the fort.
And 10s will be achieved by both sides. Lightning Breath now, not Hogger, excuse me. Greymane was holding, goes for the throat at level 10, looking for that extra damage. It is going to be the high five from Lucio, so maybe this is going to be the extremely punchy level 16 for that Karazim. Big punches.
Be pretty nice. Wave 100 fist. Yasuo. The interrupt on the overpower. Yasuo. He seems a lot faster than when I play Lucio.
You know, it's like when I cast Kael'Thuzad's, it seems like their chains go a little bit farther than my chains ever do, and I'm like, there's something not right here. And like the Kael'Thuzad won't even go into like a single chain talent. I'm like, I swear you have like extra chain length and I don't.
Yeah.
Nick comes in
from the flank. Can they get an engage? Can they get a 7-sided blow up? Nope.
7's off cooldown. I did see some chatter about potential mind control for the Sylvanas, but I do like the Wailing Arrow does lock down the Rhaegar from getting any healing, or even Hogger to spin away. So we'll see if that Wailing Arrow will be utilized, or how the Wailing Arrow will be utilized. It's a 2.5 second silence. 2.5 second silence. There we go. I had it right the first time.
And can be 5 seconds in a tiny Eye of the Storm if you go Deafening Blast at level 20. But it's a really small extra silence area, and generally it's just Bolt of the Storm for Sylvanas. You also have this weird talent that adds 1 Q every now and then. Like, you rather have Bolt, or you rather have 1 extra Withering Fire now and then?
No, I just want more Haunting Waves. I just want more Haunting Waves. That way I can forget to press my E. 7-sided strike. Lupus taking a lot of damage. Gets bopped around by Nick. Now Lupus goes down. That Souls reset on Diablo. He just got those.
Wow. Wow. Just try to make a nice little rotation for a 2v1 bot, and he ran amok of the entire Oxygen team.
A couple members, I don't know if Rhaegar and Greymane showed on map. I think Lucio's just working on the jailers, that's why. I was seeing Lucio floating around on the minimap, and I'm like, oh, is he thinking about trying to check the boss? Maybe now he is, or he's looking, yeah, he's checking the boss now. And Yasuo, he pops that reverse amp, he sees the enemy on this boss here.
You can reverse amp to check bushes. It's range damage.
Big, oh wait, hold on, Bad Benny. That's a lot of damage onto Tiger JK, who gets the cleanse, but that is a Hogger to go down. Wailing Arrow on Diablo. He can't do much here. He's going to get pushed around by the Lucio. The boss is stolen away by Bad Benny and friends. Ancestor healing onto Wishing! Onto Wishing! What? I think it meant to be onto Lupus, but Lupus is okay, actually.
He's self-ancestraled after sharing some of the 7-sided. Maybe that was the plan here. As Karazim gets trapped, he does have that 75 armor. He's got that 6th sense talent. It will work every time you get Thunder Rooted. Not just once every 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 seconds. Whenever you're Thunder Rooted, you've got several seconds of 75 physical armor. Meanwhile, though, Null Pack going ham. This has all the hallmarks of a 3-0 right now.
I'm just looking really quickly. Heroic basic attacks for 4 seconds, reducing their damage by 75. Okay, so yeah, it's just that physical armor for 4 seconds. I thought there might have been something extra to that, but the boss through top is cleared out. The channel and the objective will come through. You want to get into some oxygen comms?
Oh yeah, overdue. Let's go.
I'm flanking, Nick.
Okay.
We can.
I got it. Yeah, nice.
Can do the camp.
Started. Yeah, started.
I will jump if I... Oh no, I won't jump. You can push top after. Okay.
Pushing in the minutes mid, so it
Maybe
stacks.
mid is.
Oh, we have the wave here. So push a little
Okay.
bit. Jumping him.
Wait, hold on. Yeah. Break.
Don't die.
Ah, whatever.
Finish the tower. And I guess Copen goes spot wave. Yeah, I think just so. Yeah. They're 5 here. Or so.
We have 16.
Yeah.
We go mid or?
No, we can stay.
Okay.
7-sided soon.
I get 16 now.
Wait, he spun in. I can slow him and push.
Done now?
7-sided.
16. I can't kill.
They see me both.
Okay, I used my ult
2
sadly.
seconds, I can jump.
No, I traded.
I can go.
I have 0 mana. I'm hitting the.
I'm trying to run.
No,
here.
never mind.
Just run.
2 seconds. You don't have to open.
Bot boss is up after
Running
this.
here? Okay.
No mana. No, I can't.
Yeah.
No mana. Like it's.
We go bot pass?
Yeah, I'm basing and meeting you.
You want a bot and easy or?
The way Bad Benny shot calls is so relaxed, it actually it makes me like nervous. Like I don't know why, but I'm just like, where's your energy?
It's not supposed to.
It's not supposed to make you nervous?
There is energy. It's supposed to calm you down, right? Why would you be nervous from calm energy?
I don't know. Like it's weird. Like it's like it's a mixture of like Bad Benny Ross, like you know how Bob Ross talks to people in a very calm voice. It's like that, but it's like, but we're in this fight. There's all this craziness. I expect there to be that level of energy. Like when we get into like when we hear Cure or CPX in comms, it's loud and no, it's just.
I think that's
chilling.
just you.
Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me.
I'm really calm during tense gameplay as well.
Oh yeah, no, I'm quite the opposite. Hands are shaking and oh my god.
Yeah, mom spaghetti and all.
Oh,
that.
just spaghetti falling out of my pockets left and right. But the 16 talent tier will be achieved by Simplicity soon. We did hear in the comms a little bit them calling out on the side of Oxygen saying, hey, we got 16s, or at least they're saying 16s, meaning they've got that advantage in pressure, as the next objective will be announced soon.
I wonder if that meant to pick your 16s, because the fact that they were couldn't be missed by anyone, I would imagine. And maybe it's like quick pick your talents, or yeah, maybe it's just like you said, we've got the talents.
It's just a reminder, like, we can threaten, we can be aggressive. As the 7-sided strike will be used onto Lupus, he's able to back away. The bottom lane keep is going to start taking significant damage with the Black Arrows of Sylvanas, and it just feels like constant pressure, much like Tomb of the Spider Queen, a little bit of Dragon Shire. Shockwave,
Whoa.
It's a gamble for Porky. He's just trying to close this gap, but the high five from Yasu is going to nix that stun.
3 keeps is a mantra of hope. We still have 3 keeps. There are other mantras of hope. Just get Nas 20. And we still have a chance. We still have a core. There are many mantras. 3 keeps is a good one. It's not looking too good for Simplicity, but there's definitely a chance.
We do have that level 16, as you had mentioned, way of 100 or is it 1,000? We've been joking around. 100 fists. So
100.
It's going to be dealing, is it 6 autos at 45%? Yeah, 6 basic attacks dealing 45% damage each when you Radiant dash in. Now, Bad Benny flanking into this. Hazuwubs, I think, just tapped well in mid, as he does have some healing over time or mana over time. Channel in favor for Simplicity. This is looking good. They've got even talent here, so the map is pushed against them. But look at Bad Benny. He's kind of closing the trap right now as everyone is collapsing from both sides. Hazuwubs, Copen coming through. Wailing Arrow, that's going to be Rhaegar's the target. Rhaegar's going to be taking a lot of damage and going down. The Riptire from Junkrat coming through as the bunker from the Blaze kind of mitigates a lot of it. I actually think Slips might have been stunned out of his Riptire. Shockwave stops Bad Benny, but the Stormbolt is eaten by the Hog Wild. Yasu, I can't imagine a world where he doesn't chase this kill.
Oh, nice loot horde. He's still gonna try. He's got 150%. They get Junkrat. There's a reverse amp. He's still chasing Hogger. Another spin gets him away because of that CDR from the high rage count and the seeing red, I must say. Not going for the garbage can here. Yasu gets away. His 7.7 range. Reverse amp goes back inside. Gets the kill. Man, Yasu. They let him have Lucio again.
Yeah. In what world do you see a Rhaegar or a Greymane and a Lucio trade like that? Like I mean, it's obviously it's Yasu difference, but we have 3 keeps down. Murden's still channeling the objective with 20 talent tier and 2 dead on the opposing side. Oxygen, they are looking to close things out in a dominant way with the objective, with the lanes, with the camp.
20 versus 17, just like Tomb. 9 versus 3 instead of 9 versus 0. But it's reminiscent, Bahamut. They've got the objective. All 3 keeps are down. It would take nothing short of a disconnect for Simplicity to win from this point onwards.
Big Stormbolt onto 2. There's going to be Wishing getting the Ancestor Healing. Shockwave from the Hogger does come through as the bunker will expire from the Blaze. Lucio getting the high fives all around. Wishing is going to be the new target, and he will go down. Lupus low does have the Black Soulstone respawning in 4 seconds. Murden Dwarf tosses in, goes for the rewind, lands it onto Slips, and that will be Karazim getting the kill. Wailing Arrow from Hazuwubs comes out, but this might have just been the end right here with the Rhaegar and the Junkrat going down. Tiger JK low. That's going to be a quadra kill. Lupus, he's just trying to save his stats, trying to get back into the Hall of the Storm, and that is going to be a quadra kill to the side of Oxygen Esports, and they will shut down this entire series in a strong, very strong 3-0. Well played to Oxygen.
GG, well played. Simplicity does not improve their score. They're at 1-6, and with their map score, it is unlikely for them to make it to anything except 8th place at this time. We'll have to do the exact maths on that. Most likely, it is Storm 6th, it is Simplicity 8th, and it is Granite Gaming 7th. And for Oxygen, this actually... Cheers and applause. This secures them their top 3 playoff spot.
Let's go, Oxygen. Well played from you all, as we got Justin back in the mix to break down everything that is Alterac Pass.
Yeah, this was sort of how I expected the first series to go, but unfortunately for Wildheart, that was not the case. Oxygen getting it done, though, coming in and cleaning it up, taking out the 1-5 team, as they should do with their position in the standings, taking them out cleanly, how it's expected. That's it gives me hope for Oxygen going into the playoffs, into the LAN, as a team to root for. Oxygen on paper had such a strong roster, but they had a little bit of a shaky season up until now. So cool to see them being able to close out their regular season so dominant against Simplicity. You had this strange double support composition with the Monk, most likely just for the level for the 7-sided strike, for the percent damage into the Diablo. That's the main purpose of the Monk. We did see Yasu have the high 5 to be able to have that supplemental cleanse, so he could go the punchy fists at 16, which we saw quite a lot of value in the late game, just running people down and beating them up with the punchy fists. There's a lot of dive between the Muradin and the Monk, just instantly being able to jump onto any target and just start focusing them. Bad Benny was basically invincible, it seemed, in this game. It never really felt like there was enough damage to really pressure him. They didn't have Cursed Bullet on the Greymane, they had Go for the Throat, they had Junkrat as the other damage, and also Junkrat didn't go the stacking quest at level 4 like I'd expected into double support. I think that's a bit of a mistake. I think that's the only way that Junkrat is good into double support. I think without that, he's kind of just really weak into double support without the stacking, because you don't have enough damage to really get through the health bars. Normally you want to poke people with Junkrat with your Qs and your autos, and then you're just playing to look for picks with your CC. But if you can't get anyone low at all with your auto attacks or your Qs, then most of your kit is kind of worthless. Like you see here, all those Qs he's shooting out, they don't do any damage into the AoE sustained healing between the Lucio and the Monk. And then here we have Yasu trying to 1v1 Tiger JK on Greymane, being relatively successful, just bullying the enemies on simplicity. Yasu showing why Lucio has been first pick banned in a lot of these games in the last half of the season, and in this season in general, is because of players like Yasu who can make Lucio look so strong and look so broken, just zooming all over the place. But I'm happy for Oxygen. They're definitely well deserved being able to qualify for the LAN.
It's really well-deserved indeed, and I do believe we have Hazuwubs on the line. We can ask him a couple questions about this victory in this series. Hazuwubs, can you hear us? Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yes, I hear you. Hallelujah. We did it, actually.
You did it! You did it! So,
Yes.
so the first thing I have to ask is, how does it feel to... You're qualified, you're going. How does that feel?
Yeah. We are super relieved, right? It was already the match before, like Storm winning against Wildheart was basically putting it on the silver plate. We just had to do our job winning against Simplicity. And we came in as the favorite. I think we played pretty well. Simplicity, I mean, they had a very strong showing last week, so we weren't 100% sure what we're gonna get with them. But I think overall the games kind of went as expected. And on the same note, by the way, I know how Wildheart feels. Like, I've been in that situation many times as well. Like, it's heartbreaking, but I mean, the gauntlet is still coming up, right? So I hope they keep their heads high and they bounce back.
They'll have 2 weeks to prep for that on July 9th and 10th, as we'll be off for the 4th of July weekend next weekend. But of course, Justin, any questions for Hazuwubs?
Yep. First of all, congrats. I'm sure you're excited for another HoTS LAN. It's been quite a while. I'll see you there. And just what are you, I guess, how do you prepare for the LAN, and what teams are you expecting to face, or are you looking forward to or not looking forward to facing potentially at the LAN?
So we've been pretty hard working throughout the whole season, actually. Like, we do quite a lot of scrims. We do a lot of reviews on our matches together with Kev and Cascon. By the way, shout out to these guys as well. They're helping us big time, actually. And I think it's gonna be similar towards the LAN. Maybe there's slightly more specific drafts that we want to try out and see how it goes. Because it's like a one weekend, and if you have something that works very well and people might not know about it, then could be a good good moment to push it out, actually. Besides that, I mean, I think 30k, Chili Mountain, and then whoever makes it through the gauntlet. And actually, I mean, Chili Mountain is not through either yet, I think. I'm not 100% sure how it is with the results now that Wildheart lost, but at least I expect them to see them there.
Chili Mountain right now, they have they're positive 5 maps, but they still have to play tomorrow. They have a 4-2 record, Wildheart 4-3. My assumption is that Chili Mountain will win out tomorrow up against Diamond Hands, but who knows what Diamond Hands brings to the table, and if Diamond Hands upsets, then maybe some things swap around a little bit.
Yeah, if Diamond Hands wins 3-0, then they steal 6 map differential points, and they win the direct engagement, so Diamond Hands can absolutely qualify. They need 3-0.
Well, there you go.
True.
Tense, very, very tense. Grubby, any questions for Hazuwubs?
I mean, you answered all questions in play. It was really good. I guess just how do you plan to spend the time until the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, Masters Clash is also coming up, right? The tournament over here in Europe for us. So we are traveling to Paris as a team, the same roster, and we get the chance to play over there. So we are basically just staying in shape, you know, like it's 2 offline events back to back for us, which is awesome, actually. 2022, and we have 2 offline events coming up for HoTS. Who would have thought? So yeah, it's actually it's really hype. I'm very glad that we did it. We worked, like as I said, we worked pretty hard, and we were really hoping to get into the top 3. And I mean, we had some up and downs throughout the season, but yeah, all the stars aligned at the end. Actually, like Storm winning, and then us, doing it as well, not struggling against Simplicity. So yeah, I'm very happy.
Congratulations.
It was a really, really good series. It was a great day of games. Before Hazu, before you skedaddle out of here, are there any shouts that you'd like to give? The floor is all yours.
Yeah, shout out to Oxygen. I already mentioned Cascon and CAF, like helping us, with the drafts, the preparation, replay reviews, and so on. Shout out to my teammates. Everyone popped off today. Shout out to Nick for, picking the Monk, like a spicy pick. That we didn't see coming, but, that's how Nick rolls sometimes. And yeah. Thank you very much for having me. Shout out to Twitch chat, and see you in Paris and in Bloomington.
I will see you in Mall of America 5th through 7th in August. Congratulations once again, Hazu. Good luck in all your preparation over the next month, and I'm sure you'll be watching the Gauntlet very closely. Have a good night, and thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Alrighty, well, I'm sure he is very happy with just locking in. I mean, he's going to 2 lands. That's awesome. I'm quite envious. I want to go to 2 lands, but we are through our 2 series of the day. Oxygen Esports with that 3-0 up against Simplicity. A fantastic day of games here on HeroesCCL. But of course, it's time for everyone's favorite segment of the day. Today, we're going to have Justin break down for all of you the Grubby Super Grub clip of the day.
Yep, the Grubby Super Grub clip of the day, powered by Grubby.
Oh.
We can go ahead and get into that. It's Sky Temple. It's the core defense of Storm. So you have Brandon here coming in on Diablo, knowing that he's going to die, sacrificing himself while he waits for his 3 members to respawn. So this looks like it's a bit of an int from Diablo, but he's actually buying time and getting cooldowns. Now watch as Haben going to get a little bit split here, finding out again what the tornadoes on the core do. He runs really far to the side, and now he's going to be split from his team. Look, Wildheart is trying to get the AoE D shield, and they're unable to get it as Haben dies. They do get it, but they can't really get anything else off of it. They can't force any fights here, as Brandon is respawned, and now there's 1 member down. They have a 10% core from the boss play earlier. Unfortunately, Hogger will get yoinked, and now they're going to get mostly ran down by the side of Storm Esports. A important core defense for Storm. If they don't defend here, that's it for them. They lose there, and Wildheart going back in feeling desperate with the 10% core. It's cool to see kind of the way that you have to play when you're desperate like this. It's you can tell that Wildheart is just trying to get anything until it's too late. Now they will get chased down. Mason Blaze gonna get ran down here as the Greymane, not able to escape, and Storm Esports gonna finish off the 10% core that they had started with.
It was a really, really good series today, and that is such a great clip to kind of showcase the turn of events for Storm Esports, as they did start to rally after that win, and they would continue on through that series. Really, really well played from them. Thank you, of course, Justin, for your breakdown and analysis on the clip of the day. But of course, Grubby, we have got some standings, and I know everyone's excited to see what they look like after today's matches.
Looking at it again, Wildheart is 4-3, and Diamond Hands can be 4-3, and they can overtake Chili Mountain, but Oxygen is 5-2. So actually, Diamond Hands, chat is correct. Diamond Hands cannot overtake... Wait, Wildheart is 4-3, but they're now only +5. Who won between Wildheart and Diamond Hands? I have to check one more time.
Wildheart and Diamond Hands? I'm trying to skim through it really
Wildheart
quickly.
won.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually not possible for Diamond Hands to make top 3 anymore, even if they 3-0 Chili Mountain. They will overtake Chili Mountain, though, and that would net them a 4th place, though not a 3rd place. So Diamond Hands can be 4th, they can't be 3rd.
Okay.
Still worth it for them to overtake Chili Mountain. But it would be Wildheart that benefits from it if Diamond Hands 3-0 Chili Mountain, as that's what gets Wildheart back into top 3. And it would benefit Diamond Hands themselves as well, so not entirely altruistic. Very interesting standings here in the top 5.
Very interesting standings, and those will be changing slightly, or potentially slightly, tomorrow, as we have 2 more best of 5s. Justin, what will we be seeing tomorrow on HeroesCCL, Sunday, June 26th?
In our first matchup, we'll have the Titan, the 6-0 30k, alone in first place, going up against Granite Gaming, the roster that has said that if they make it to LAN, they're the favorite to win the whole thing. We're going to see if they're able to start gathering momentum here in the final week, and if they're going to be the team that in the regular season can take a match off of 30k. And in the second matchup, we've got the one that's going to greatly impact the standings, potentially. We have Diamond Hands going up against Chili Mountain, where Diamond Hands has the opportunity to kick Chili Mountain out of their 3rd place spot, and all Chili Mountain has to do is win the series to guarantee themselves 3rd place and secure a ticket to the LAN.
Well, it's going to be a nice storyline tomorrow here on HeroesCCL. It was a very, very fun day of games. I got to be honest, I had a blast today with the games. I think Nit Chat said it very, very well. A very long series followed by a very short series today. A little bit of the 2 sides of the coin, if you will. But Grubby, I want to throw it to you first. Any takeaways from today, nearing our final group play day, tomorrow being the last one?
Well, Oxygen was only rank 4 at the start of this, but now they're rank 2, and they can only be overtaken by Chili Mountain to get a rank 2 if Chili Mountain 3-0s. My takeaway is that we have 3 really strong teams, 30k, Chili Mountain, and Oxygen, with Wildheart looking just a little bit less strong than the 2nd place that they had at the start of today. They're solid top 4 material still. We have a very competitive top 5, with 30k standing a little bit on top of it. Oxygen looked particularly strong today. It's good to have a good ranking in the league, but it's more important to scale in your form towards the end of the season. Where Wildheart looked just a little bit more low energy during the comps in their play, Oxygen is scaling up, and that bodes well for them for the LAN finals. The moral of the story is that it's all about playing well during the gauntlet and the playoffs. That matters just as much, if not more, as your general score standing in the league.
Justin, thoughts, takeaways?
Absolutely agree with Grubby. I think the top 2 seem all but solidified, at least. Maybe not even if in the standings, but Oxygen and 30k seem to be kind of the strongest teams right now at this point during the end of the season, where everyone else, I think, is kind of fighting for that contention into the top 3, into the top 4, coming out of the gauntlet, or getting the potential buy into 3rd place to make it in tomorrow. But I think the 4th place team is still very much up in the air. Wildheart didn't look quite as strong as they would have needed to close it out and get their auto qualification, so they might have a lot of issues because of that. That can cause some internal issues, and all the other teams are hungry for it. Especially teams like Storm, who are turning up at the end of the season. We haven't seen Granite yet, but they play tomorrow, and they could have a good showing against 30k potentially. There's anything is going to be up in the air for the 4th place team, and I think that's really exciting.
We will lock in all of our spots tomorrow morning, afternoon, depending on your time zone. We are all going to be back here on HeroesCCL at 11 a.m. PDT, 2 o'clock EDT, and 20 CEST. I've had a great day casting with both of you. We have had so much fun on the broadcast today. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's games. And so from the Wisdom family, from the production crew, from Justin, Grubby, myself, we thank you all so much for supporting HeroesCCL, pushing that prize pool ever so further. And tomorrow, we will see our final 2 best of 5s to lock in our Gauntlet League standings. It's been such a fun. It's been so much fun. I'm excited for tomorrow, and we look forward to those matches. We'll see you all in HeroesCCL. Have a great night. Thank you for watching. Good night.